In the dead silence before the Gate of Moria, the water did not move. Yet something watched from below, older than the mountains, hungrier than time itself. And when the fellowship came, it woke. Before we descend into the dark and uncover the terror beneath the gate, the watcher in the water, take a moment to subscribe and leave a comment. Do you believe the creature was born of Morgoth's shadow? Or was it something even older, something the Valar themselves feared to name? Now, let us return to the deep.
Chapter 1. The Stillness Before the Deep. The lake outside the western gate of Moria lay still, a mirror of ink, untouched by wind or moon. Even the night seemed to hold its breath, wary of what slumbered beneath. No bird crossed its surface, no insect dared to break its skin. For in that black water, older than stone and colder than death, something waited. Before we continue further, if you could take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel, it would mean the world and help us share more tales of Arda. Now, let's return to the story. In the ages before men, before even the first dwarves carved halls under mountain shadow, the world's roots reached deep into darkness. There, in the unlit abysses beneath Arda, where the song of creation was faint and twisted, life of another kind took form. Slow, patient, and blind. The Watcher was one of these, a remnant of the world's earliest chaos, a child of unshaped water and shadow. It knew nothing of sun or sky, only the endless weight of the deep pressing upon its form. When Durin's folk came to Khazad-dûm, their picks struck the bones of the earth, their hammers rang with pride, and their forges blazed like stars in the dark. But the sound carried far, deeper than they knew. The ancient water heard, and the Watcher stirred. It was not malice that awoke it, but hunger, the slow, endless hunger of the deep. Ages passed, the dwarves prospered, the Balrog slept. The world above forgot what lay beneath. But when the flame of Udun burst forth again, when the shadow and fire of the ancient world rose to devour the halls of Moria, the earth itself convulsed. Rocks split, rivers broke their courses, deep called to deep. And through cracks unseen, the Watcher crept upward, drawn by ruin and by power older than the sun. The waters gathered at the western gate, filling the hollowed vale. Dwarven paths sank, the trees died, and when, at last, the last hammer of Khazad-dûm fell silent, the Watcher made its home in that dead pool, still and black, waiting for the sound of life once more.
Chapter 2. The Gate of Dread. Long centuries later, when the world had grown old and weary with the wars of men and elves, 9 travelers came to the dark mirror of that lake. They were weary from long road and greater burden, seeking to cross the mountains through the forgotten halls of the dwarves. But even before they reached the gate, fear walked with them. The wizard's staff shone faintly in the murk, lighting the pale outlines of stone. Gandalf spoke soft words that trembled through the air, as if the place itself listened. "There lies the door of Durin," he said, "Lord of Moria. Speak, friend, and enter." The silver letters of Ithilden glimmered faintly upon the rock, ancient runes touched by moonlight. Yet the air was heavy, thick with unseen weight. Boromir's hand went to his sword. "It feels wrong," he muttered, "as though eyes are upon us." "There are no eyes," said Legolas quietly, though his own gaze swept the water. And yet, I feel it too. The surface of the lake rippled faintly, though no wind stirred. Frodo looked down, and, for a heartbeat, thought he saw movement below. Not a reflection, not a fish, but something vast sliding through the dark. He stepped back, and the water stilled. Gandalf's voice broke the silence. "Melon," he said. The gates shuddered, then yawned open with a sigh older than time. The Fellowship stared into blackness. But behind them, the lake stirred again. The faintest tremor spread across its skin. Pippin whispered, "What was that?" Sam's hand tightened on his sword. "Something's out there." Aragorn turned, scanning the dark. "We must go, quickly." And from the deep, the Watcher listened.
Chapter 3: The Thing Beneath the Water. Long before light or language, it had known motion. The slow coil of limbs, the taste of stone, the echo of life above. It had no name, but in the depth of its mind was the memory of sound, the pull of heat, the pulse of living hearts. It had slept through ages, feeding on cold thought alone. Now warmth had come again. Soft voices, firelight, life. It rose. First came the ripple, small and innocent. Then another, larger. Then the surface broke, silent, smooth, inevitable. What emerged was not shape, but shadow. Black limbs glistening like oil, each as thick as a tree, sliding silently from the depths. The moonlight caught for a moment on something that might have been an eye, green, vast, and terrible. Sam gasped, "Mr. Frodo, run!" The Watcher's first strike was sudden and sure. A tentacle lashed through the water, catching Frodo about the waist and pulling him toward the lake. The ring shone faintly at his chest, and for the first time since the council, he felt it call. It sang a note of temptation and power, and the Watcher heard it. Aragorn's sword flashed, cutting through the dark. Back, back to the gate! Legolas fired arrow after arrow into the churning pool. Gimli's axe bit deep into one pale limb that struck the stone. The creature screamed, though it had no mouth. The air shuddered, as if the mountain itself groaned. "Inside!" cried Gandalf. "To the dark, now!" The Fellowship fled through the archway as the Watcher surged forward. Its limbs struck the rock, splintering stone and dragging debris into the water. Frodo fell to the ground, gasping as the tentacle released him, cut by Aragorn's stroke. Sam pulled him up, weeping. "I thought you were gone, Mr. Frodo. I thought you were gone." But behind them, the shadow loomed larger. Then Gandalf raised his staff, and his voice thundered through the ancient date. "You shall not have him." The ground split, stone crashed, and the western door of Moria fell, burying the entrance in ruin. The lake fell silent once more. The Fellowship vanished into the dark, and the Watcher, thwarted but unbroken, sank back into the depths. Its hunger unchanged, its purpose newly awakened. Chapter 4: The Memory of the Abyss. The deep remembers. Even stone has its echo, even water its dream. And in that black lake beneath the mountains, the Watcher kept both. It had felt the warmth of life again, the heat of the ring that called to all things born of shadow. It had touched the one who bore it, and though the Fellowship had gone, its echo remained.
It slept once more, but not in peace. In the cold dark of its mind, visions moved, of a fire deeper still, of a voice older than thought. It dreamed of Morgoth's throne beneath the earth, where all nameless things were born. It dreamed of the first darkness, when the world was unformed, and all was water and fear. And in that dream, it remembered who it had been, one of many, a servant of chaos before even Sauron's rise. Now, only it remained. The Balrog's fall shook the mountain again, and for a time the lake trembled. Yet the Watcher did not rise. It had learned caution. It would wait again. Time was nothing to it. The deep has no measure of years. It would slumber until the song of the ring rose once more, or until the world's end broke open the seas and freed the forgotten children of the dark. For though the fellowship passed into legend, though kingdoms rose and fell, still the waters of Moria's gate lay black and still. Travelers who dared the valley spoke of strange shapes beneath the moon, of ripples where none should be, of eyes that glowed green in the deep. And in the far ages after the War of the Ring, when the world grew quiet and the tales of old became only whispers, the mountain still stood, and the lake remained. Beneath it, in silence older than the stars, the Watcher waited. The shadow that endures. The deep is patient. It has no pity, no haste, no end. Where light fades, shadow endures. Where memory dies, the dark remembers. So it is with the Watcher, the nameless terror that sleeps beneath the Gate of Moria. Born before evil had a name, it waits beyond the reach of time, where the waters of the world still hide the remnants of the first music, twisted, incomplete, but eternal. Perhaps when the world is broken and the sea returns to swallow the mountains, it will rise once more, as all things buried in darkness shall rise. And then the songs of Arda will speak again of the terror that stirred the waters, the creature that watched the passing of ages, unseen, undying, until the end. Until then, the lake lies still, and beneath it, eyes that never closed. If this tale has stirred the waters of your heart, traveler, stay with us for the next journey through Middle-earth, for beyond every shadow lies another legend waiting to wake.